So tonight we're going to look at youth, and to just give us an introduction, I'm going to introduce you to one of our leaders, Sarah. Here's just a picture of some happy youth, and hopefully all of you are in there somewhere. But Sarah has been around now for quite a while. I think, Sarah, this is now probably going into your third year, if I'm not mistaken. So you just give us a quick introduction of how you got involved with GIG, and then specifically why you feel you have a ministry amongst the youth. So over to you.
Thank you, Coach. And I just want to say good evening to everyone. And I trust that you can hear me. We've got a bit of a problem with network over this weekend, so I hope you can hear me pretty well.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, thank you. For those who are joining us for the first time, my name is Sarah Odwa, you know, it's really been a privilege to have this GIG journey. I came across it in 2018. I won't go into much detail for today so that we can give enough time for the young ones to come on board. But it really came at a time when amongst many other things, I felt I needed financial wisdom, you know, and I felt that I didn't quite know how to handle finances, and not just money alone per se, but just the wisdom to know how to handle all that which comes with finances. And so Jasper and I serve at ICCC, and one time he then just gave me, in fact, he sowed a seed, I want to put it like that, of his book Legacy to me. And it was an answer of what I was looking for. And I really never turned back. So I came on board, I became a member. I started, you know, joining in the Loan Link Share and you know, all the products that the bank offers. And funny enough, at the time when I started, when we talk about the GIG message, for those of you who are part of the network and part of the family and the community, and we talk about those 4 stages, you know, the first stage that we speak about is really just at the most basic, which is the struggle stage, where we say your income less expenses are a reminder. So I started the GIG journey at minus income, minus expenses. So that's why I believe that it can actually help anybody. No one can be in a place where they feel like they cannot walk this journey. It's very difficult when you are starting very flat at the place where there's quite a lot in your life that is broken down and you can feel overwhelmed. But I stand as a testimony today that it's not possible to start your life at any given point in time. Yes, it might need that extra work and that extra discipline, but it is worth it. And just a brief testimony within this time of COVID that we are going through. You know, for me, again, just the privilege of having come across the GIG message. You know, one of the greatest things for me has been a very strong, you know, mental approach to the difficulties that COVID has brought us into, you know, in our businesses and in all our areas of life. And I was looking back and realizing and being thankful that, you know, I had this message to actually invest in, you know, little things that one puts into place. I guess at the end of the day, I'm aware and I appreciate the fact that we then have our choices with regards to how we actually implement what we hear, you know, because no one can impose that on you. But, you know, just those small disciplines I had started to put into place of you know, savings, you know, putting things aside, and how it came through for us and the family, and particularly just the mental fortitude that had already been built, you know, as Jasper was going through the legacy as a house. I could go on and on and on about what GIG is to me on a day-to-day basis, but I don't just love the message for what it offers me to be able to speak about as a speaker, but I live the message, and it's got hurdles, but I overcome because the message is there and the community is there of people. And I highly, highly recommend that. It's a journey worth going into, because it doesn't only just focuses on you making money, but it focuses on the next generation. It gives you the fortitude to be able to make some hard decisions for the sake of the future and for the sake of the children, and for the sake of the legacy that you want to build forward. So I think that's all I want to say briefly from where I come from gig. And next time again, I guess we can always share those testimonies. But now I want to speak about the youth. And as Jasper was saying, I mean, it's in my heart. Young people are my heart. I have a trust, which I registered as an NGO, but then decided to not follow the line of an NGO anymore, just continue with it in a trust, because I have passion for young people. And part of the reason why I'm very passionate about youth is because some of the things, or maybe should I say, some of the wisdoms that came a little bit later on in my life. And I think out of that pain of looking back and wishing that I knew certain things, and wishing that someone was there to guide me to make different decisions, to make different choices about relationships, about money, about career choices, and so from that pain of feeling like I wished somebody was there, then came for me the desire to make myself available for young people that are open to be taught and willing to learn, to be able to, be taught and learn, so that they then can look back. At least if they have to have a regret, it should not be, I wish somebody had told me. It should be, somebody did tell me, I just didn't want to listen. But, so it really came from that point. I'm very passionate about young people. And also they do keep you young. So when you're around young people, you're forever young, and they help you to innovate and to change. But coming back to this think tank, this is a work in progress. It's, I think Jasper spoke to me about this about a week and a half ago. It's nothing new because it's in my heart. It is in his heart as well, as the founder of GIG, and both equally passionate about legacy, because when we talk about the GIG message, we talk about passing on, this, if you look at Proverbs 13, that talks about that a wise man or a wise woman, leaves a legacy for his children's children. So we cannot talk legacy without talking young people. We cannot talk about it without talking about our children, because that is the next generation that we want to hand over to them, something that is much better than what we would have left had we not received networks like this. So as you see there in the screen that is before you, I've just put together a couple of ideas. Today we are just introducing the young people to you, but as we go on, I'm sure we will then begin to break down the vision or the heart behind it. But we do not want it to be one that defines to people. We want to actually open up the space to say, let's create a think tank around how we can establish the next generation. So that it's not just somebody coming and saying, this is how we are going to do it. There's elders in the GIG network that can coach, that can mentor, that have ideas on how we can actually impact intentionally, because that's my mantra, is to live intentionally. Is so that they can help us to say, how can we intentionally now impact the young people? Then there's also the young people themselves, because we cannot speak for them, they are here. And we also want to hear from them to say, how can GIG speak to the youth? What kind of things that they think we can introduce as part of GIG, so that we can give that passion and that heart for young people to come on board. So these are just ideas that we are laying before you. This think tank that we're saying is going to include elders, coaches, and young people. And going forward, we also want to be more intentional about our programs. So we want to say, if you want to come along, please just let me know, or let Jasper know, and then you can come along. So let me move right along. I see I get the cue, so I have to move on now, otherwise I'm taking too much time. So there's two young people that I want to introduce to you this evening that are going to just share a little bit about themselves. The first one is Notamsanga Tamzi Steven. I met this young lady last year. Her mom actually attended one of the GIG training sessions that I host in the South, and she brought her kids, and that was Tamzi and the brother. And she's going to speak a little bit more about herself, but she's 17 years old. She's an amazing young person. She actually has a business of her own, which she's going to talk about. So I'm not going to waste a lot of time now. I'm just going to head over to her and let her speak. Over to you, Tamzi.
Okay, good evening to everyone. My name is Tamzi Steven, and I'm just going to be sharing my journey, my GIG journey and testimony with everyone. So before I knew gig, I was just a young person who my main passion in life was dancing, and I did rhythmic gymnastics all my life. But as soon as I couldn't do it anymore due to my parents' financial struggles, I started to ask myself questions like, for example, what makes people with a degree and people who do all the right things not become successful? For this reason, I decided to start a business where I would really look deeper into the types of things that prevent people from being successful, doing all the right things according to society. And once I started that business, I actually gave myself a promise that I would coach and grow these girls who I'm training to not experience the things that I had experienced due to money. And I couldn't have heard about gig at a better time. I was actually unintentionally, um, I actually unintentionally found myself in a gig workshop where I went with my mother, and I had been to many financial workshops before that because I used to just always be interested in how finance works. So I would actually, when my aunts and my parents, etc., would go to these financial workshops, I always wanted, and I was always so interested. But most of them seemed so unreachable for me. I always thought of it as, the future will see me under those things. But actually, when I heard about gig and its message, I was inspired by the fact that gig was so intentional about the journey of everyone's life rather than selling a product. And I say this because of the words that the presenter, who is now my wealth coach, Mam Odwa, spoke about on that platform. She started to speak about wealth, and in my head, wealth just was just about finances. But when I started to see that this platform actually opened up my knowledge and wisdom about wealth being more than finances, it actually benefited me the way I started to look at my business and started to look at my life. And fast forward, I went to her and I asked where I could get the legacy book that she had spoken about and where I could start to um, join this journey. And she told me that I could come and join her for a meeting and she would tell me more about this. I was immediately attracted to the idea when I started to read the book, and the main topic and the main focus that attracted me was intergenerational wealth. I then got my answer to the question, why do people with degrees and jobs who do all the right things according to society not get the answers that they need in life and not get the success that they want in life? And this book answered those questions that I didn't even know if they would be able to. They spoke about intergenerational wealth and the importance of understanding wealth as wisdom more than money. For this reason, I started to expand my knowledge on wisdom and wisdom on finances more than trying to expand my bank accounts. And I also learned that making money work for you should be a focus more than us working for money. And during this time, it's actually a very perfect time to implement this because it's very hard for a lot of people who find themselves in jobs and aren't being able to work to get money. But because I learned this through the gig message, I started to learn about the different investment accounts, and I started to invest all my business money that I had originally planned to buy a car with at the end of this year, when I was going to be 18 years old. I decided to invest all that money in gig and understand the importance of growing money while I'm growing my wisdom instead of spending money. And when I heard about the initiative to start the next generation youth journey in gig, I just have a few inputs as I was asked for that. So my wealth coach came to me, and the thing that actually struck me with this message was the fact that I had to write an action plan at the beginning of the year that she inspired me to write. And when I usually did write visions at the beginning of every year, but the difference was with a wealth coach, I was so inspired by the fact that she kept me accountable. I remember her messaging me after a few months and saying, how's your action plan going? And I was like, I've ticked a few boxes, but now I felt so you know, pushed to be able to tick all these boxes. She reminded me that, no, this is what we planned for. And even if not all my boxes can be ticked because of this time, just having the settling feeling that I know what I'm missing out on and what I can replace it with, rather than not knowing what she wanted in the first place, is just so much better. So I think with this message, this message is very inspirational to me as a youth person, because I think it's easier to be able to initiate a certain mindset in a younger person, because they don't have to change mindsets. So I think that it's possible for anyone to be able to have intergenerational mindset. But if we start with younger people, it's easier to be able to train them to think like that naturally. And I have promised myself and pledged to myself that that is something that I'm willing to do. And before I even get to university, which I will be going to next year, I have decided that if I train my mind to not be submissive to the society's ways of doing things, regarding wealth and just your wellness and your finances. If I originally from young are thinking about my unborn children and thinking about my unborn grandchildren, etc., it will be so much easier for me to be intergenerationally mindseted. And I think that ways we can do this is by hosting workshops in universities, and I think that high schools is also a good place to go to, but I think the effect will be more effective in universities, because I think that I'm just a minority of someone who's started a business or someone who's interested in finances, but generally the people who might be caught better by this type of initiative is people who are about to go into the business world, about to go into the adult world, and that is university students. Moral of the story is that I appreciate Gig for encouraging me to expand my wisdom instead of encouraging me to expand my finances. And I also appreciate Gig for encouraging me to understand intergenerational mindsets, rather than thinking about how I can make my life better than my parents' was. I also appreciate Gig for the platforms that they have provided for us to be able to expand our knowledge on the businesses we run, and to expand the knowledge on the way we live life. And I am very excited for the initiative, and I appreciate the fact that I have been able to expand my business due to the tips that I was given from Mr. Gavin and Mam Odwa, and through the book that Mr. Jasper wrote, The Legacy. And for this reason, I have now expanded my business virtually, and I am training gymnastics virtually. So I would also like to take the opportunity to say that I have a business, a rhythmic gymnastics business for girls from the age of 5 years old in Mondio, Johannesburg South. And anyone who is interested from that side is more than welcome to contact me. Thank you again.
Thank you, Tamsi. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah.
Here's my hand clap to you.
Thank you.
All the other people. I'm so impressed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, Sarah, you well done taking on heart and coaching youngsters. And I've met Lungile, but why don't you introduce Lungile to us and then hand over to Lungile?
Yeah, I'm very emotional, so I'm just going to go straight into it because I'm aware of time. But Lungile is 25 years old, as you can see. I've had the privilege of knowing her for many years from church. She's a dynamic young woman who is passionate about nursing and healthcare. And I just wanted to come on board so that she can explain for herself what is in her heart. And this is what these young people do to me. They get me very emotional. I'm very proud of them. Over to you, Princess Lungile.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lungile Kamete, and my journey with GIG started in 2019. I was also introduced to the GIG message by Mrs. Sarah Odwa Xotongo, Mam Odwa, as we commonly call her. And I attended the training in the South of Johannesburg club. And I think for me, the reason why I was drawn to the message was I had just recently qualified as a young professional, And, I always knew in my mind that I want to be successful, but it was just always such a vague concept. I didn't quite understand how to go about it. But, I knew also about saving and investing, and I knew that it's important and that I should do it. But, there was no clear plan or intention as to like what then. And then I read the Legacy book, and oh my word, it was just such a mental shift for me, because I remember laughing at myself, looking at the comparison while reading the book of the first generation mindset versus the third generation mindset. And one of the examples were that the first generational mindset thinks about, when I retire, this is what I'll start doing. Only then I'll start thinking about being entrepreneurial or opening a business. um, and I thought to myself, yo, I'm not even a first generational thinker. I'm not even thinking about retirement at the moment. So I thought, okay, for that, I'm really struggling, and it's a mental struggle more than anything. Um, and then as I read through the book, I came across chapter 9, and it really, in the beginning, I think it was a bit overwhelming for me, because the concepts were so big. It was just something I had never thought about before, because it was just talking about um, just living a significant life, and a family as that like institute that is such an important building block in society and in nation building. And it like spoke about family constitutions and family fund, and it was just concepts that were just so far away from my mind at the time. And I think for me, I understand that, as a healthcare professional, I know how like financial struggle can just play as a social determinant of health and being a stressor. So I thought, oh my gosh, if people can, including myself, if I can fully grasp this message, then I can really, it can just be so liberating. Um, so I'm happy also that even as I started reading that book, that it speaks about enabling versus disabling attitudes, and some of the attitudes that were listed there were, I think, specifically directed at me, because it just spoke about how, sometimes you think, no, you're single, and because of that, you don't really have to think about, the third generation. But I really just thought, it's such an important thing to deal with first, because it's more than anything. I think it's a mentality thing, it's an attitude thing that needs to first change. And from that, I think what is a suggestion from me is that I think maybe gig can maybe solely focus on maybe a book that specifically targets young people who are just recently young professionals and who are single, because in like I think in that sense it can help shape uh, like their lives going forward, and just create that mental shift as it did for me too. And uh, right now, I think what is helping me is just the opportunity that I got to open my mind to using my like experiences and skills to make it to for those two things to just create more value for me, and not just think, oh no, I can just be a nurse and work in a healthcare facility all my life and then wait till retirement. But just it really stimulated my mind to think about how I can really make use of my experience and my skills to be of more value. And one of the things that came up that I was just thinking about was um, the new life multi-level marketing opportunity that I came across when I was reading the book, and how more than ever right now with this like predicament that we are facing, being locked down and all, it could just be such an opportunity. And I think for me right now, I've just recently started exploring that, and it's something I'm looking into. and as well as other ideas that can help me look at other sources of income so that I can move from, a struggle to that significant life. And what I am thankful for also is just the GIG, the CFI, and the product that they offer, which are the loan link share and the investment accounts that they have. And I've recently, like this year, after my wealth coach interview with Sarah Odwa, started understanding what intentional saving or investing is all about. And I am proud to say that I have started using those products. Yes, thank you very much. I think I'll end there.
Thank you very much, Lungile. And I took note of your request there for not immediately, but in the future to start writing a specific book, maybe for young, up-and-coming adults who are starting their lives. And I think it's a very good suggestion. So we're starting to look at that. But also thank you for your message there. And again, congratulations, Sarah, for becoming the coach and giving input in the lives of people. And if these are just the samples of what's to come, I'm excited about the role that you're still going to play. All right, I'm going to just quickly take over from here because I've had the privilege of meeting this family just over a year ago. I think it's I think last year, March, for the first time, if I'm not mistaken. And it's a family. The father is Pierre, the mother is Runel. And they found us. Pierre was at a stage in his life where he was searching for, probably on the topic of generational inheritance or wealth, and he came across GIG. And he then went on the site and he went through the courses himself and he signed himself up. And the first time I met him and his kids was when they attended our quarterly rally that was held here in Fourways in March sometime last year. And then they probably right now, next to Sarah, one of our most active families in working this concept and also actively involve their kids. So Uriel and Zane and Elizabeth, thank you all for participating, but I'm going to start with the youngster. And what I want to know from you is, from your perspective, how did you get to know about GIG and what it means for you? And now that you've been involved in it, is it anything different in your household? And how do you see it playing out in your life going forward? So Uriel, so as long as you guys can sit closer to the mic so we can hear you, but over to you.
Hi, everyone.
Can you be a bit louder, Uriel?
Pardon?
Be a bit louder if you can.
Okay. As you can all see, the details there of how old I am, what I'm doing and stuff. I'm not going to go into detail. But to answer your question, Jasper, for me, since I was introduced, I actually got introduced to the GIG through my father. He introduced us to it, and then Jasper actually showed us the whole concept of it and stuff like that. And from that day, it actually helped me understand certain things that I need to put in place to be able to go forward with with a good wealth, looking into the future, having kids and all that stuff. For me, the GIG Institute helps a lot of young people understand how to manage their money, and it changes the way they think of certain, I'll say, expenses or how can I put it? Certain, they won't. It helps people young students that don't have much place their money in the right vehicle to be able to increase what they have. What I like about the Gig Institute, it doesn't require so much money to start off. So as a student, I can put the little bit I have into the Gig Institute, and then through that I can multiply through the counseling that the Gig Institute provides, and this assistance in putting it in the right investments and all that stuff that comes within the whole package of the Gig Institute. So yeah, for me, it's a thing of, it will help the young generation to start getting into the mindset of not just dealing with what they have, but using what they have in their hands as a seed to prosper what they will be able to get in the future. So yeah, that's...
Thanks, Uriel.
Pleasure.
They're all sitting there on the bench next to each other, and I'm in two minds to switch screens, but I'd like to actually stay on the screen. And the next one I want to bring closer to the mic is the middle brother, Zane Groblaar. And over to you. You know what we want to talk about. How did you got exposed to Gig? And I know you've also been to some of the community chamber sessions. And so from not knowing anything about Gig and knowing about Gig now, how do you see the future playing out for you?
Sorry, could you just repeat the first bit, if you don't mind?
Yeah, basically just how did you got introduced to Gig? And I know basically through your father, but what was the impact of the message for you? And in your experience this last year or so, and how do you see the future?
For me, I got introduced to Gig through my dad, and the first time we attended the meeting, it really stood out for me because business has been a passion of mine for a very, very long time. Although I haven't been on the earth for a very long time just yet, but it has been a very big passion, and the core foundation and the fundamental skills that the Gig teaches and builds throughout the entire, if you do follow the courses, it really sets a person up not only momentarily but also for a very, very long time into the future. And that's really what stood out for me when I first joined the first meeting. And then since the first meeting, as everyone can see on the left-hand side of the screen, I've been able to scale my company to a point where I can start looking into the future and start building it for a lot more younger generations for the future and stuff like that. So yeah, we helped a lot with that. Yeah.
All right, thanks, Zane. And then I first had so we had two beautiful girls, and then I had these two thorns in the middle, and now we have another rose to end it off for us, and that's the sister there. So Elizabeth, over to you, and your exposure to Gig and how it has impacted your life for the last year or so, and how you see the future.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank you all for putting this time aside to tune in with us. For me, Gig I was introduced firstly by my father, as we all were. And Gig has just opened up a world of wisdom for me when it comes to how we perceive finance and what we understand of it. And I think out in the world, especially for young people in our social structures, there's a lot of influence, there's a lot of media, there's a lot of data that is downloaded to us. as to how to go about your finances, where to invest it, what's good investment, what's bad investment. But there's never really been a definitive way of knowing exactly what will prosper my future and what won't prosper my future and momentarily please a desire or want. And as we know, wants are endless, you know, and it changes as we grow, it changes as our pursuit in life grows and our vision in life grows. So once we reach one level, we've got the next level to consider. So what I enjoyed about gig is that it's relatively holistic when it comes to investing your finance or growing your finance in a place where when your goals and visions change, or if you have a new goal or vision, you can reach into a well of resource and begin growing or planting or building that goal or vision that you have. So basically for me, the overall experience that I've had with gig is that it's allowed me to open up my perception to seeing how the quality of the knowledge that I have about finances will sustain the foundation that I build when it comes to my financial growth as a person. I related to one of our speakers this evening when she was saying she's young, still single, still building, not really thinking yet about having kids, grandchildren, retiring. And I think for a lot of us, we can come to a place where we can relate to the fact that at this point in our lives, we're looking at right now, what do I desire? What do I enjoy? I'm young, I want to have fun. But on the other hand, there's a pressure of responsibility from the social circles that are around us. And this, I feel, has allowed me to come to a place where I choose to make decisions that influence those who walk a journey with me. And I can actually build for a journey. So as I go forward from year to year financially, and as I grow financially in my careers, there is a place where I find security in knowing that the wisdom I'm gaining now will benefit the decision I make tomorrow. And so the Gig Institute has really been a great impact for me in that regard. It's really opened my vision financially to think beyond where I am today and to see a future for myself, even though sometimes in your career or the job you're sitting in at the moment may not necessarily hold financial promise as yet, or it may not actualize as yet. There is a place where you can take what you have, you can invest it, and you can build it. So I would say overall, that's the inspiration I have at this point in time from the Gig Institute.
Well, thank you very much to the Grolber family there. And I think the dynamic that the three of you bring, and I would like to see how that plays off or out. But at least are these brothers and sisters who are almost at the same stage in their journey and having the gig perspective. I think it will have quite an impact on your individual journeys, but also cross-line, that it would be much easier for you then to pull resources and to continue building the Grobler dynasty, although you also do it then for yourself. So I would like to, at this stage, just to stop the screen and quickly open up for any comment from any of our guests that want to just say something. Tony, you there in the Western Cape.
Yes, I was really inspired by those young people, quite extraordinary. Just in case they think that there are hundreds of books out there in the world covering this kind of thing, I have to tell you there aren't. As far as I know, there's only two. There's this one, Legacy, and there's Proverbs. And this is unique in my experience, and I've been in financial services for quite a long time. So just to see the young ones and how they have caught the vision inspired me no end. Thank you, young people.
Yeah, and thanks to Tony, and Sarah put it in her vision in the beginning that the focus will be on youth and for their energy and for their future, but within the protection of having elders to help guide the process. And Tony is certainly one of our elders, and Tony is actively in the community, active in the community in Worcester, but he's been a great blessing for me last year when he took it upon himself to take the text of the book and convert it into audio. So that book is now also available in audio and on Kindle. So if you guys are interested in that, you can then just obtain it from Amazon and Kindle. So thanks a lot for your input as well, Tony. All right, anyone else If you have something to add, just put up your hand. There's a hand from Temba. Temba, open up yourself and tell us what you want to contribute.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. My name is Hopuntuli. I'm sitting here with my husband, Temba. And I just spoken to Sarah, Mom Sarah, right now about probably 30 minutes before we joined the meeting. She sent the link to invite us. And I simply was speaking to her and I was telling her, you know what? During this COVID situation, things are not normal anymore, and we are tired of always wondering what is the next thing for us to do. Our income streams are going quite low, and we're now thinking, what, there must be a better way for us to think about finances differently in this time. And now we really need to think about our generations to come, because we recently got married and everything is good so far. We are leaning on our savings, but of course you can't just lean on your savings. You need to think bigger and find better strategies. So I was like, Mom Sarah, what do we need to do? And she's like, you know what, the first step is having financial literacy. And we are quite young. We're just 28 and 29 years old. And as I said, we got married about a year ago. And now she says, you know what, think about your family life. Think about, generations now to come from now to generations to come, and think about what you're going to do. Start with the gig message and see if you like it, and join in. The course is free, and then you can graduate up to being a member and all of that. So we are interested in starting this journey, my husband and I said, I really told him that, you know what, it's better to get the knowledge that we don't have, because if you look at other websites, you end up paying for it, right at a go, and some things are scams. So I'm very happy that this one is proving itself to be free. We were just on the website right now and seeing that you guys were registered with the corporate financial system in 2015, so you can see that it is legit, And I really told Mom Sarah that, you know what, the next best thing is for us to get the book. Order me in. And she's like, no, I do have the books. And if anything, during this lockdown, what better thing to do is there than having to get yourself financially literate and financially savvy? So if we have to start with the book, as Lungile had said that she read up to chapter 9, and the certain concept that she spoke about the family constitution, we're like, whoa, I never thought about that. So seeing that we are also aspiring to have children in the near future, we're getting to learn more about, okay, now we need to have a family vision, family constitution. Let us not repeat the same mistakes that our parents did, So yeah, I'm very grateful for this platform and hope to be joining the club soon. So I think I'll give my husband 2 seconds to say something if there's something that he needs to say.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Don't be shocked. This is true. Sarah will explain everything. But hopefully in another video, I'll be able to just speak more in depth around our marriage and how all of this came about. But one of the first things that I wanted to highlight is I've been in the entertainment industry now for the past 10, 12 years. And it's really a struggle for our industry right now at the present moment. And a lot of the difficulties that you find is that as a freelancer, there aren't a lot of avenues opened up for us to actually access financial income streams in various things. So the most important thing is to be equipped, is to be prepared, planned, and to actually ensure that, your vision is set for your future and for your family. So as young people as we are, we found that this is one of the platforms that have opened up our minds and our understanding regarding financial freedom and financial education, as well as it being a platform that I think is open access to saying, look, dude, we want to equip you, we want to teach you, and it doesn't matter how much working experience you have out there, but if you don't know how to use what you have, then it's almost as if you don't have anything at all, if I can put it that way. So we're truly looking forward to what's to come, and we'll engage in further discussions a bit later. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank
God
you.
bless you all.
Thank you. We appreciate you. All right, one more hand there if someone wants to make a comment. then we want to wrap up for the evening. But Didi, over to you.
Thank you so much. I am so grateful that we have got youth that is now thinking differently. We've got hope. That's all what I can say to say we really have got hope. Financial literacy is the lowest in the world, not just for us, South Africa. It's in the world. I was actually reading a book by Tony Robbins on financial literacy, and it's shocking. It's so shocking that that's a life skill we need to be taught right from young age, but it's not there. So for GIG, we've got an opportunity to read.
Okay, right. Thank you very much, so Didi, for your contribution as well. And I think, Sarah, just a closing comment from your side. I know we put it together very fast and quickly, but I think we got confirmation tonight that it is time. And then all of you who feel inspired by this vision of participating in the GIG youth movement, just understand we have no fixed agenda yet. So it's totally open to anyone who wants to participate. I will certainly make myself available to support where needed. And thank you for Sarah to put up her hand to drive it for us. But please contact her. You've got a phone number, and if you don't, you can contact me and I'll pass you on to her. And if there are other youth that listened tonight and felt that you've also have a good experience with GIG and you want to participate in some of our future talk shops, please do so. But Sarah, just a closing comment from you.
Yeah, well, thank you, Coach, and thank you to everybody who's participated. And so that's my biggest call at the moment, is just to create that think tank. That would be the action point going forward. So please just do contact us so that we can get you involved in planning behind the scenes, especially also the other clubs as well. If you've got young people in your clubs, please also just bring them forward. Looking forward to meeting even the Hroblers as well, and Mr. Tony. Yeah, so I'm also excited and inspired and very moved by hearing the call. I mean, we're ready to go to entertainment, to media in every sector, because as I've said to Jasper before, I really believe that this GIG message is one of God's solutions to us to actually help transform and reform the nation of South Africa one step at a time. Yeah, so that's it for me. Thank you.